Well, I have all the bottom frames fared down now, and I'm real happy with how it came out. I'll take a shot down the length of it here. They all work with each other and they're all fair from one to the next. And I tried something different this time. I did use the power plane to hog out most of the material, this plane here, and then I used my air grinder to grind down real close to the line. And usually then what I'll do is I'll work each frame, and I'll do probably 3 or 4 at a time, and then I'll put my straight edge or my aluminum ruler over it, and then just check to make sure that all of them are hitting. And sometimes it can be frustrating because you take a little bit too much material out of one frame, and then you have to either shim it or try to work the other one down a little bit. And then sometimes you grind too much on one side or the other. You don't get the angle right, and it's not that critical back here because it's fairly flat. But once you get up forward, the angle starts increasing. So I tried something different and it worked out great. I took this from an old door, piece of I think Douglas fir, and I ran it on my joiner, made sure it was real straight, and this is about 5 feet. And I know that this back section is flat. We talked about the planing surface being from frame 1 up to 4. So I know that that's a flat section all the way to the transom. So what I did was I worked the frames down with the power plane and the grinder, and just proud of the line. And then I took this straight edge and I put some 36 grit, and this is air file paper, this stuff here, and it's 36 grit, it's real aggressive. And I cut that, I made this, well actually it happened to work out to where I just cut this in half, and I was able to stick it on here with 2 pieces. So, well, 4 pieces total, but 2 air file sheets like that. And this stuff, it lasts pretty long. And I put that on there, and I'll flip it upside down. But what I did was put it on there, and then I just ground it and made sure to keep this thing fore and aft as close as I could. And then I just ground it back and forth like this. And I also had my lines to go by, so I just ground it, and as you can see, they all touch and they're all nice and flat. And it worked out great, and it was quick. So I just ground it just proud of the line, and then I took this longboard, and just ground it in like this. And then I took the shorter longboard with the same thing, 36, and I just ran it just to kind of smooth it out, even though it was pretty smooth, and then just smooth it out a little bit more. And all these arcs are really smooth. So that was the aft section I did. And then I thought, well, man, that worked so well, I'm going to try to do that on the midsection, but I couldn't use this straight edge because it's too rigid. Well, and it's straight, it's not going to move. And from the 5th frame forward, it starts to arc. You've got a gradual arc there. So I couldn't really use that. So what I did, again, I took my power plane, took a lot of the material off, and then I took my grinder, went just high of the line, or proud of the line, and I made a different board. And this is out of 3/4 inch. So this, you don't want it too flimsy. This just has enough, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This just has enough flex in it to where you're still gonna grind anything that's high. And I worked 4 frames at a time. And what I did, it's kind of hard to work it without handles, so I put some handles on it, and I had a couple of old, they're hand plane handles, and I just screwed them on that. So that worked great for the midsection. And then for the forward section, it really starts to arc. This longboard was too stiff for that. So I made a 3rd one, and these are easy to make. You just make sure that they're straight. I used a joiner. And then the 3rd one, up forward, I used a piece of 3/8 plywood, and I mounted the handles on here. I took the handles off the other board, mounted them on here. I'm trying to hold the camera here, and the cool thing about the handles are you can kind of, you could arc this board and you could also flex it from side to side. Here, let me see if I can do this. And then just work these frames down, and it worked out really slick, and it went quick too, a lot quicker than any other one that I've done. So, and then to check it, well, again, then after I took that long board, I took this board here and just straightened out or smoothed the arc a little bit, and it worked great. And then I really didn't even have to check it, but I took my aluminum ruler here, and I just took it and I moved it from frame to frame, just making sure that it touched on all of these. And I didn't have any high or low frames, and it worked great. So I was real happy with how those sanding boards work. I use that 36 grit a lot to sand and to fair. And then, so once I got all the frames in, or faired down, then I took and I cut the limber holes into the side, right next to the keel. Before, on that last video, we cut the limber holes which would be over the keel. They also have them on the sides, which is actually lower in the bilge than this one. So I cut those in on a 45-degree angle. So now I'm ready to put the keel in. So that'll be the next step. I'll put the keel in, I'll drill all the holes through the bottom frames, I'll bed it in 5200 and bolt it down with silicon bronze 1/4-inch carriage bolts. And then I'll do the same thing with the chine. Here's the chines, they've been off the boat for a while I worked the frames down. But I steam bent these. So I'll put these back in, I'll bolt them down, and then I'll get ready to mill the rabbet joint into the chine. And to do that, we needed to have all these frames faired down like I did. Once the chine is bolted in there, then I could, I'll put some 1/2-inch plywood along here. I'll screw it down to like every other frame, and then I'll run a router on that with a guide and router in the rabbet joint. Here's the old keel here, or the old chine, and there's the old rabbet joint. So that'll be the next video I make. I'll just have to bolt the keel and chine into place. So that'll do it for this video on how to fair down bottom frames.